Blaze.
Can't afford you, still it was up lavishly upon you. It makes His glory shine so bright upon you. I will be content, cause I know you would never fail me. Even when my knees are shaking, even when my heart is bleeding. Oh, valley, when I walk in the midst of the valley, my life's in the hands of my daddy. I'm already loved, I'm already chosen. Yeah. So for this life I know the goal, no. I know this so loves my joy when I'm my body. To man and you go, you are. You're my provider, you're my provider. You are. You're my provider, you're my provider. Yeah. I will be content in every circumstance. Yeah. Jehovah Jireh. You give me peace, you give me purpose, my provider. And when my enemies surround me, got me tied up. When they throw me in the pit inside the fire, you are my God and my King and my Father. Light to my path in the darkness, hope in my heart. When they heartless falling, you reach out and caught us. You're the lover of my soul, love is flawless. They don't understand my God is keeping me high, I know they go low. Cause me, I know they solo. Cause my joy when I'm my body. To my Nico, you are. Provider, you're my provider. Yeah. I will be content in every circumstance.
Hey family, it's Tuesday night. Welcome into Resilience Talks. This is a live series featuring you. So what does that mean? We all interact with each other. We all talk to each other. We all vibe with each other. This is a safe space for all of us to interact. It's another Tuesday that we made it. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God. I'm so excited to be here tonight. Let me just say, today was a rough one, right? Today was a rough day for me, but I'm here and I'm happy to see each and every one of you. Hey, Tamara. Hey, girl. So for those of you who are newcomers, those of you who have been here, week after week, thank y'all, because y'all honestly just make my day. Seeing y'all show up, seeing y'all support, and knowing that y'all keep coming back for more encouragement, more motivation. Hey G, what's up? Hey Drea, I see y'all. Roll call. Who in here? Hey Kim. Hi y'all. It's so good to see y'all. I am so happy to see y'all every single week. I promise y'all. I'm like, yes, my family's here. My friends here. Hi, JC. Happy Tuesday. I love seeing my family in the chat. Again, how is y'all day going so far? I'm going to do, hi, Jaira. Hi, my sister. I'm definitely going to do an icebreaker. You know, we love a cute icebreaker over here on this side. I'm going to do an icebreaker, but real quick, how y'all feeling tonight? Y'all okay? How was y'all day today? How y'all feeling? Um, like I said, I had a rough day today. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. I was I was sliding down the wall earlier. I was I was sliding down the wall earlier. I was so sad. And like if y'all seen my note on Instagram, it's like I miss my mom. And that's all true, right? You know, going through the motions of life, and I think all of us are going through the motions of life. You know, life be life sometimes. But I'm here, you're here. And I hope that, you know, this conversation tonight really does help some of us or all of us. That's my whole hope. All right, so real quick, y'all, here's the icebreaker. If y'all had a superpower, what would it be? If y'all had a superpower, what would it be? For me, it's gonna be I'm tired, went back to work today. Kim, I'm sending you love, girl. I hope you get some rest. I know that first day back to work. Do you work in a school, by the way? I know the first day back to work is always the hardest. Like that first week actually back to work is always the hardest because you're like, dang, my body got to recover. Like, I ain't used to this. If y'all had a superpower, what would it be? Jared, we did make it. We made it. We made it. We're here, right? We're all here. And I thank God that we're here. I thank God that I see each and every one of y'all. Hey, Ebony. Hey, girl. It's good to see you. You know, I thank God each and every day that we are here. Good. I'm praying for you, Kim, because them kids, girl. I'm praying for you. I am. All right. If y'all had a superpower, what would it be? Mine would probably be mind control because I'm a psycho, low key. Bend everyone to my will. No, just kidding. Mind control, or I would be able to teleport or even invisible because I need to go rob a couple banks at this point because we need the money. Gonna go rob a couple banks. They'll never find me. Oh wow, they're not in the building yet. Ain't wrapped too tight at all. Okay, ain't wrapped too tight at all. It's okay. It's okay. Stealing powers is crazy. Look. I mean, we gotta do what we gotta do. We gotta do what we gotta do. I'm just saying. Hi, Ramses. It's good to see you, bro. I'll be the drop. Period. See, look, clock it. See, that's the kind of energy I need. That's the energy I need. Jaira said, "Invisible for me." Yes, girl. Look, I'm trying to commit. I'm trying to get to a couple banks. I'm just saying. Mine will be endless energy. Yeah, Kim, that'd be nice. Always have energy. That would be so nice. I really do wish. I wish I had endless energy. Clocked. And it was clocked. All right, y'all. So for those of y'all coming in, we're just getting started. We're talking about what is your superpower? If you could choose one, what would it be? Rem said teleport. Not trying to pay for plane tickets anymore. Period. No, for real. For real. The plane tickets are expensive. Like they're too expensive. At this point, like, why am I paying my rent for a plane ticket? Like, what's going on? G said, I want to fly. I hear you. You know what's funny? I could actually see you doing that, and you having the most fun you've ever had in your life. Jason said Batman. Just Batman. You don't even want the power. Just Batman. I got you. No, that's hilarious. For those of y'all who are coming in, we're talking about superpowers. What is your superpower? If you could choose one, what would it be? What would your superpower be? Talladega Nights. I want to go fast. Nah, that's funny. That is hilarious. No, I love y'all. No, I love y'all. All right, y'all. Thanks for, opening this up with me, talking about superpowers. One day we might get them. Who knows? One day. One day we might get them. Um, so tonight, we actually have a special guest, but I'll talk about that in a second. So these past few weeks, we've been talking about the incubation period, right? We've been talking about what that means, and we'll be talking about that for a few weeks, just because it's such a huge topic, and then there's so much to cover. And genuinely, I feel like a lot of us are in an incubation period, whether or not we are aware of it. We are. A lot of us are. And I really just want to dig deep on this topic. Again, because it's such a big topic and there's so much to explore, there's so much to talk about in this topic. I am going to encourage y'all. Please comment, please talk back, because you know what? It makes the live so much better when I see y'all comments, when I see y'all talking back to me. And I love each of the, I know y'all always talk back to me, but I just want to encourage even those who are new, even those who this is the first time. I encourage you, talk in the comments. We are a very funny, we're a very loving group, and no one's judging you, right? Even the people, and I know there are some people who are watching who cannot comment because they're on, different devices, and that's okay, because I know some people will message me afterwards and say, "Oh, during the live, I wanted to say this." So if you're on a device that you can't comment on, that's okay. But for those of you who are here and can comment, please do. I love seeing y'all names pop up. I love seeing y'all comments, and it really just adds. Yes, those of you who are coming in, welcome to the family. Hi, Padre. Hello. JC, I'll try. Welcome to the family, y'all. This is all of us family, and it's an honor to use this platform each and every week to come and talk to you guys. It's all of us, ALU. That's our family here. All right, so back to the topic for tonight. So we've been talking about incubation period, and that really is the period where God's protecting us, where He's literally covering us to help us. Hi, Tasha. Hi, it's nice to see you. Thank you for joining. So it really is the period where God is covering us, where He's protecting us, but He's also doing a lot of that deep rooted work. Things that we don't even know we need to work on, right? Wounds that we've been carrying that we may not necessarily be aware of. And so God is really working on us in this incubation period. And so tonight, I do have a special guest. I thought it would be super fitting to have someone else co-host with me tonight. And she is an amazing person. She is a part of ALU, and she is what we call our secret weapon. Hey, Lonnie. Hey, girl. She is what we call our secret weapon. And so I am happy to introduce to you guys tonight, for those of you who don't know, JC. JC will be co-hosting with me tonight. Hi, JC. Oh,
hey, what's going on?
Hey, I hear you.
Everybody, what's up? GQ.
So those of you who don't know, JC is also a part of ALU. So y'all see the comments.
I'm just...
I knew y'all would be surprised. It was so hard for me to hold on to it and not say anything. It was so hard.
We kept it a secret from y'all. What?
Yeah. No, but it's all good. Sis, don't be in your feelings.
Don't be in your feelings.
Don't be in your feelings, sis. You could be a co-host too one of these days. Don't be in your feelings. Look, they're saying hi, JC. My dad said hi.
Hey, what's going on? Hey.
All right, y'all. So
I wasn't holding out, bro.
Oh. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about reset. We've been doing this 14-day reset. If you're a part of ALU, and I've talked about it, we've been doing this reset, where we've been getting our bodies together. Like we've been, making sure we're eating healthier. We're making more intentional and conscious decisions to eat better. more intentional and
Mhm.
conscious decisions to move and exercise. And so that's what we've been working on. But I thought it would be so fitting to talk about a reset overall. So, not just our physical bodies, but literally our lives, right? We want to reset our lives. So, tonight I am going to be asking a lot of questions. So, this will look a lot different. There is no presentation like we always have, because there's always a presentation. But tonight we're just going to have questions that pop up on the screen. And we're just going to talk to you guys, have a candid conversation. And my hope is that it helps each and every one of you. I may miss a couple of comments because I'm, doing the questions and all that and trying to talk. But I'll get to y'all, I promise. All right, so we're going to start with our first question. We're going to get right into it. What does reset mean to you? So, reset for me, it just means to set again, right? It's a chance for a new beginning, it's a chance to start afresh. A lot of times in life, we are, we're going through things and we might set goals. Our goals kind of keep us on track, but along the way, sometimes it gets a little bit difficult. And life starts to life, and we get further and further from that track or further and further from that path. But I think we're in a dope position right now, being that we're like at the midway part of the year, right? A little bit over the midway part of the year.
Mhm.
But I think it's a dope position to be in to reset our lives and reset some of the areas in our lives. So that's what we're talking about tonight. I'm gonna swing this to both the audience and to JC. What does reset mean to you?
Yeah, like you said, set again, start over. Like kind of like you said, how we're doing the reset for the for ALU fam, the workout. But yeah, just starting over. And you can do all types of resets. It doesn't always have to be something really big. It can be small,
Mm-hmm.
as long as it's you're doing it with intention. And yeah, so reset's just starting over again. Starting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see y'all in the comments. I do see y'all. Hi, Taya. I see you, girl. I see you. Hey, Taya. Starting fresh. Absolutely, Jaira.
Mm-hmm.
It's a chance to begin again. And that's a beautiful thing. And you know what? We can create that on our own, right? We don't have to wait for someone to tell us to start our lives over, right? We can do that on our own. Oh, y'all in the comments tonight, because I'm like,
Okay, let's
woo,
go.
y'all in
Master
the comments
reset.
tonight. Uh, Master reset, pull the plug and start over. Ooh, I like that, Kim. Pull the plug. That's a good one. I like that, Kim. All right. So my next question is, what qualifies us to have a reset? And I'm just going to say this to those of you who are lost, those of you who are confused, those of you who feel exhausted, who feel tired, those of you who are weary, those of you who are in between a rock and a hard place. A reset is for you, right? When you're going through life storms and you feel like you're being rocked and pushed and pulled and punched and beat up and beat down, right? That reset is for you. It's for each and every one of us. And there is nothing or no one that or there's nothing that has to happen that's so spectacular that causes this reset. We literally can make that decision on our own, right? And so tonight we're going to just talk about what that reset means, and we're going to even bring in a character that well, not a character, but a person of the Bible. I like to call them characters. It makes it romanticizes it for me a little bit. uh, but we're gonna bring in my good buddy Paul. My good buddy Paul. I love him. We're going to talk about Paul tonight and talk about his reset and then what we can learn from that reset. I see you, Jared, anytime you deem it necessary, literally, anytime you feel like you need to reset your life, do it, right? Anytime you're feeling so overwhelmed, a lot of times a reset will come after you've been weighed down, right? When you've been beaten down to the ground, when you feel heavy, when you just need to rest. A lot of times that reset will come after a rest. And we've talked about this before in the incubation period, how sometimes God is literally just telling us to be still, right? To just be still and allow him to do what he does. And so a lot of times after that resting period, right? After we've gathered our strength, I'm talking about I'm getting into the message, but after we've gathered our strength, right? Then we can reset, start over again. So I'm just going to introduce, we're going to talk about Paul once again, and we're doing Acts 9 1 to 31. That's the whole story. Y'all go
Yeah.
read it yourselves because we ain't reading the whole story to y'all.
We
Y'all,
ain't reading 31 verses.
we ain't reading 31 verses. I'm so sorry. It's a lot to cover.
Yeah.
We ain't doing that. But JC is going to talk about the story of Saul, Paul, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, so we're gonna break it down, but we're definitely not gonna read all 31 verses like here. But we'll break down like what kind of happens. But it's good to be on here co-hosting with the ALU family with Tay. She always does a great job, so I feel honored to be on here. But yeah, we're gonna just talk about the story. We'll start with, of course, verse 1. But basically, we're gonna go verse 1 through 9, and it just talks about how Paul was on his way to Damascus because, as you know, Paul uh, was basically persecuting the Jews and anyone who was following Jesus. Now, mind you, this story was happening all the time while Jesus was around, but also it was it was also happening afterwards. So this story is kind of like 3 years after because Christ has already been resurrected. That story is already going around, circulating around. People are, getting more information. So he's going to Damascus to persecute more Jews, and he's getting permission from the synagogue. Like he's going in front of the high council and being like, "Hey guys, like I want to be able to kill more people, basically, and put them in jail." And so as he's traveling down the road, we all know the story. God meets him on the road. The light shines him. He gets blind. He falls off his horse. He's asking. God says, "It's." He's like, "Who is this? Like, who are you, Lord?" And he says, "I am Jesus, who you are persecuting." And where I'm reading it from is the Amplified version. That's the one I usually prefer to read. But you can read any version you like. There's plenty out there. Um, and so he gets knocked off his horse. Now he knows that it's God because he asks and he tells him, "I'm Jesus, the one you persecute." And he can see Jesus, he sees him for who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's not able to see for 3 days and he's not eating for 3 days. So now he's fasting basically, but he's also blind. So he has to be helped to where he's going, like to Damascus. And then when he gets to Damascus, he's sitting there. And then God, during this whole time, will Saul, who's now, when Jesus tells him, "You're Paul," he's sitting there. God is speaking to Ananias and telling him, "Hey, I need you to go heal and pray for Saul, who is now Paul." And Ananias is like, no, I'm not doing that because I know who Saul is, bro. Like, he's the one killing everybody. Why am I going to go and pray with him, right? He's like, I don't want to go pray for him. But Ananias, thank God, because then we wouldn't have this awesome story, listens and he goes and
Mm-hmm.
he prays for Paul, heals him. Um, Scales literally fall off his eyes in that moment. They see it, like physically fall off his eyes because he was blind for that amount of time. He eats, he gains strength, and he immediately starts preaching. Like Paul ain't playing around. So the thing that we also have to remember is Paul is zealous. Like that's one of the things they describe about Paul.
Mm-hmm.
He's zealous. This is what he's been doing. He is the same thing that he was using to attack the Jews. Now he's using to help them. So as soon as he's done, he gets his strength together. He's out there. He's out there ministering, which of course ties into us, going out and preaching the gospel. Paul is doing it very actively. So he begins preaching immediately at the synagogues, telling everyone that Jesus is the Son of God, which of course is against what he knows. And you're probably wondering, "Hey, what's up, G?" You're probably wondering, like, well, how does he know? Well, Saul was raised up in the synagogues. That's what he studied. He studied the Bible, just how when you go through the story of Jesus, how he was there and he would study and read. Saul did that same thing. So he had an understanding of the scriptures differently than a lot of the other disciples who may not have had that same opportunity to be in the word as he was. So he just had a different knowledge of the Bible. So he's preaching the scriptures. He's going to the synagogues, the same places where he was getting these letters to persecute the Jews. And he's telling them, "No, guys, I'm wrong, basically. Um, I need y'all to reconsider. Like this is the Son of God." So he's doing that, and after time passes, now this is a few years again. Now this is a few years after Jesus. Then a few years pass. He's preaching, and the Jews are plotting to kill him. So they're plotting to kill him, and so he's out here, winning souls now instead of taking them.
Mhm.
And they're like, nope, we can't have him doing this because now people are seeing this difference in this city, the masses, that what he's doing. So then Paul goes to Jerusalem and he tries to, get away. But they had to actually lower him in a basket over the wall to get away because that's how hard they were looking for him. They're looking for him through all the entrances on the road. So he had to actually sneak out of the city, do the side of the wall in a basket. That's crazy, right? So his whole life is being reset, right, guys? And so then he does that and he gets to Jerusalem, and then they don't believe, like they don't want to help him. Why? Because they're like, well, that's Saul, man. We don't believe that he's saved now. Like, yeah, right. He's probably gonna try and trap us. He's tricking us. So they think that he's actually tricking them. And then God sends Barnabas
Mhm.
to help. Basically, Barnabas, he speaks to him, and Barnabas, when he sees him, is like, no, God's actually made the change. I can see the change. So Barnabas takes Saul under his wing, and that's who Paul actually goes and starts ministering. Again, like the first missionary work besides Jesus out to the other Gentiles or people who hadn't heard about Christ, but he goes with Barnabas. So it's a very good story. I definitely recommend reading it. I didn't really want to go over and read it because, like I said, 31 verses is quite a bit, but it's Acts chapter 9, 1 through 31. So hopefully y'all kind of have an idea, and then we're going to kind of talk about what we think in the reset.
Absolutely. JC, that was a very eloquent explanation of the story. So thank you for sharing that. Like, y'all, JC really, like, she really knows her Bible, like, for real, for real. Like, there are things that she knows. I was like, wait, what? There are questions that I had to ask her, but she really knows her Bible. So great job to you for explaining that. Thank you for all the context, because it's important to have context when it comes to the Bible. Anytime you're reading the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
you need that context, because if you could just go in the Bible and read a verse, but take it completely, like take the meaning out of it because you didn't know the context of it. So thank you for that, JC. The first thing that I kind of want to point out, or my first point, I think for tonight, really is that God wants to use you, right? And what does that mean, right? God used Saul. He was a murderer. Like, he was literally out here killing people, like literally out here slaying people, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's out here like just taking people's lives. And I know we talk about how, oh yeah, God wants to use everyone, but we in our minds we secretly exclude certain people from that, right? We don't talk about murderers, we don't talk about rapists, we don't talk about all the other people, all the other people who have done bad things, right? What we deem as bad, and they are bad, they are, because we're not condoning none of that. But God can even use them too. The prostitutes, right? We talk about all the people that we deem as unlikely to be used, we deem as unworthy to be used. God will use those people too, right? None of us are beyond God's hand, right? Or beyond God's usage. God wants to use each and every one of us. So he wants to use you, messed up, broken up, beat down, ugly, all of it. He wants to use you. The one who's lost, the one who's heartbroken, the one who's poor, the one who needs help, the one who's sensitive, the one who's always crying, the one who's made mistakes. God wants to use each and every one of you because he has a purpose for each and every one of you. In one of the verses, I don't know the exact verse, but it says, like, I think when he was talking to Ananias, and Ananias was like, nah, God, I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't finna go talk to that man because he killed people like me. I ain't finna go talk to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ananias is like, nah, I don't think so. But God is like, but I chose Paul. I chose him as my instrument, meaning that God literally handpicked Paul, even though he was doing the wrong thing. Saul thought he was doing the right thing, right? But he actually wasn't. And so obviously God had to correct him, but God also used him mightily. So my biggest thing is, God can use you too. If he could use a murderer and a prostitute to spread the word of God, what makes you think he can't use you? There is no mistake. There's no thing that you've done that it's been so bad that God is like, oh nah, I can't use that person. I can't possibly create ministry through that person. There's nothing in this world that you could ever do that will exclude you from that, right? Even the worst things that you've done, even God can use you to minister. Even God can use you for his glory and for his purpose. And that is a big thing because sometimes we disqualify ourselves from, God's plan. We think that, oh, I'm not worthy enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I've done things in my past that God should never use me, And we use these excuses, we use these reasons for why we feel like we don't qualify for God's plan. But guess what? You're a great candidate for God's plan. You are a
Yes.
great candidate for God's kingdom. He wants even you to. JC, did you want to add to that at all?
I mean, it's not really that I could add. You covered it really well. I mean,
My bad, I just
I
started
was
going
forgot
off.
I was co-hosting. I was like, oh, okay, I was all
That self doubt is very harmful. It really is. It really is. Sometimes we doubt ourselves and we beat ourselves up, right? And we really do think that we can't do those things, and we can't be used, we can't be loved, right? We talk about this love thing. We feel like we can't be loved by God, but he is the most loving God. Even when people don't love us, even when people abandon us, even when people count us out, right? God is always going to be the one that's there. He's always going to be the one that loves on you, even through the worst mistakes you could possibly make, right? He's always going to be that one for you. So yeah, self doubt is real harmful.
Mhm,
I'm gonna move on to the next question.
mhm,
What is the significance of Saul's interaction with Jesus? I'll take this one first, JC, and then you can hop in. For me, right, this interaction with Jesus, Saul was walking in darkness and didn't even know it. While he knew the word, right? He knew the word and he was like, he thought he was doing what God wanted him to do this whole time, killing the
mhm,
Jews. He thought he was following God's plan. But in reality, he actually wasn't, right? Saul was walking in darkness until the light came, right? Until Jesus came and had to show him, like, hey, you're probably not doing, you're actually not doing what I want you to do. But here I am, I'm going to correct that, right? In a moment, God can correct the thing that you've been doing this whole time. And so sometimes we're walking in darkness and we don't actually know it. We don't really know that we're walking in a dark path or that we're walking on a dark path until we interact with Jesus, until we encounter Jesus. And I don't mean church Jesus, right? What we consider to be, oh, like I go to church and I go to church and sometimes I feel it, that's emotional, right? That's just emotional stuff, right? But a real encounter with Jesus causes change. Like it literally forces change. And so for me, that interaction with Jesus, just for me, it's like, dang, God, it really made me reflect. Sometimes I'm walking in the dark and I don't even know. But it takes having that relationship with God to call out that darkness so that we can
mhm.
walk into his marvelous light, right?
Yeah.
JC, that's you. You wanna
Oh, that's me. Hop in. My bad. I was
Not
listening. You talking good. I was. I be.
you listening.
I be listening. You talking good. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. No, no, but I feel like the interaction too with Jesus was basically kind of like he needed to see Jesus for himself. And when Jesus appeared to him, yeah, he knocked him off the horse, he blinded him for that moment of time, but he needed to open Saul's spiritual eyes to let
Mm-hmm.
him know, no, what you're doing is actually hurting me. You think you're uplifting me, you think what you're doing right now is bringing honor to me. It's not. And he needed Saul to see that through his spiritual eyes because he was seeing everything through his physical eyes, through religion, what's man made. He wasn't seeing what Jesus sees. So once he got knocked off a horse, he was blind. It was like he could see. He was seeing what Jesus was allowing him to see. He was finally, his eyes were actually finally open. He was like, okay, now I see what you're saying, God. Like, this is what you're wanting me to do. I'm needing to actually bring people to Christ, not persecute them for actually trusting in you. You're real. I heard about your resurrection. I heard what happened. Now you're appearing to me in the road. You didn't appear in the road and then strike me down and kill me. You
Mm-hmm.
appeared in the road and you gave me a chance because you still love me for who I am. It doesn't matter if I'm Saul or Paul. You still love me. You still showed up for me on the road as I'm going to persecute people. You came to me and said, "Hey, bro, nah, I need you to chill out." But I need you to see who I am. And I'm still here for you. No matter what you think you're doing, what you're doing is still for me. Even the bad, it still worked out to bring honor to God. So, hey.
No, I think that is such a beautiful point to bring up. The fact that Paul or Saul had this interaction on the road with Jesus. And while it may have hurt him, Jesus blinded him, literally took away his sight, right? And knocked him down. Like, I can
Yeah.
imagine that didn't feel good, right? But
I
even, I mean, like, I mean, he be knocking me down sometimes too.
know
I ain't
his back
gonna
hurt.
hold you. Back hurt, knees hurt, everything scraped up.
Okay.
you know, I can imagine that didn't feel good. One, losing your sight, like blind,
Yeah.
like I can't imagine that feels good. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, it's like, but you didn't kill me. Like, God could have killed us in our mess, right? That is such a great point. God literally could have taken us out right in the middle of our mess, but instead, He knocked us down to correct us, right? Because He
Mm-hmm.
still loves us, right? So there will be times in our lives where, guess what? We're gonna have to feel a little bit of God's wrath, right? We're gonna have to, but it's not because He hates us, it's literally because He loves us. And it's because He wants us to live in our purpose, right? And so there has to come
Mm-hmm.
a time where there's correction. A lot of us are blind right now in this very moment. A lot of us are blind. A lot of us don't know which way is east, north, south, or west. A lot of us are blind. And the only thing that will open our eyes is Jesus, right? Is an
Mm-hmm.
encounter with Jesus. So I think that was a beautiful point. Like, while we may be going through the storm, we are still yet alive. Understand that if God wanted to take us, He could. Haven't we seen this happen even more these days, where literally people are dying left and right? It is a blessing that God loves us enough that even though we are imperfect people, He still loves us enough to correct us, to mold us, to shape us, and even push us into our destinies, push us into our purpose, right? Because that's essentially what happened. Literally,
Mm-hmm.
God said, I need to push Saul into his purpose. That's what I
Yeah.
need to do. And that's exactly what he did. So I think that's an amazing point, JC, that you brought up. Moving on to the next question.
Next
What would
question.
you say is the significance of Saul's name change?
Uh, well, I know a lot of people probably will. Most people think it's more about like, oh, well, it changed it because it gave him the name that God gave him, and we go down that rabbit hole. But the few research and like what I've kind of always thought, it's more of how he was ministering and who he was ministering to. His name was Saul there, and it still was Saul. He still referred to Saul throughout the Bible, but they called him Paul because that was who he was going to speak to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Gentiles, that's the name he needed. His Roman name was Saul. Then he needed to change his name so he could be Paul. He's going to minister to a different type of people. So he's basically meeting them where they are. He's changing his name so that he's accepted by him. Like on the kind of like with the one when I did my devotion talking about go where you're accepted.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's showing you how Saul is kind of resembling what happened to Jesus in a way. He was brought up in the synagogues. He was brought up there. He knew the word. Now, obviously, God wasn't going and killing every Christian because but in the part of where he understood the Bible, but that change, he went because he knew God was sending him out. God knew that his mission was still to be a missionary and go out and preach. So he needed to change his name so that when they hear the name, they're like, wait, isn't that Saul? The guy that I heard about, wait, but they're calling him Paul because that's whatever his name is. And they're like, wait, but he's not doing what he did. Now he's telling me about Christ being the Son of God. So that change made it to where he was accepted by other people by hearing that name because it was just Saul in a different language, basically, is kind of what it means. But they just
Yeah.
changed his name so that he could be, known that
Mhm.
way. And when he goes out to minister, they're like, oh, I know, I've heard this guy before. Hold on, is he coming here to persecute somebody? Is there some Christians in our city? And then they go and they show up because they think they're going to see people getting stoned or something like that. And he's over here talking about Jesus is the Son of God.
Gotcha.
A lot of disappointment, I'm sure. They thought they showed up for a show, and nope. He's here to bring you to Christ. So when you really think of it that way, it's very interesting because his name brought in crowds. Because think about it. That's why they had the Colosseums and things like that. People were
Mhm.
bloodthirsty. They're thinking they're about to see something go down. They did. They got saved. So
Yep. Down on their knees praying to
yeah,
God.
there we go. They got down on their knees. Yeah, so it's like I love that this is a story that you use for the reset because it is a really good, a very good story from the Bible.
Yeah, um, that was dope. But I also want to add to that, right? Because a
Mhm,
lot of people will say that it was a conversion, and in many ways, his identity was converted. But I dare to say that God is actually edited Paul, right, or edited Saul to Paul, because he's still Saul to some people, right? But
mhm,
he's also Paul to another group of people. And while we know Saul as, the persecutor, and we know Paul as the apostle of the Gentiles,
mhm,
that was literally just an addition to who he already was, right? And so I dare to say that God is editing some of us. God is editing and he's adding to some of our identities. No longer do we have to stay as, oh, I'm the sick girl, right? Because I have a heart transplant, because I struggle with heart disease. No longer do we have to say, oh, I'm broke, I don't have no money. Because we love to say that, including me, because times be rough. But no longer do we have to say that, because God is already editing our identities, right? He's already changing that for us. So we don't have to
mhm.
accept the same things that we used to, right? We don't have to answer to the same names that we used to, right? How many times have we been
Come
called
on.
names that did not actually fit us? Right? That did not actually fit us. While it may have been representative of who we were, it's no longer representative of who we are now, right? So God is changing our identities. We don't have to stay heartbroken, right? We don't have to
Mhm,
stay needy. We don't have to stay, confused. We don't have to stay in these places because they don't belong to us anymore. God is literally pushing us into another direction, into another level. And this is why reset is so important, to understand that, you know what, I may have been going in one direction, but guess what? God is changing me and God is molding me into who I'm supposed to be. And so I can't accept what I used to accept, right? You wonder why the people who was around you before aren't around you now, because you're not the same person anymore. You can't keep doing the same things that you were doing, because God is taking you to another level in him. And with
mhm,
that level comes new wisdom, right? New knowledge, new behaviors, right? New thoughts, just newness, right? And you can't necessarily carry what is old with you into the future. So I think that, Saul's name change is just
mhm,
a great example of what God is literally doing for each and every one of us right now in this incubation period, right? Where it seems like everything is going wrong, where it seems like, oh, nobody's joining my live stream, or nobody's commenting, no one's interacting, no one's buying my products, all right?
mhm,
Nobody's doing all these things, right? Where it feels like all is lost, where it feels like, your health is out of whack, everything is going crazy, your emotions are out of whack, right? God is literally changing us. And so I say, don't despise the process, because in this, God is literally moving, right? Even in this, God is moving. And so again, editing, changing does not feel good. It does not feel good. And we romanticize, right? We romanticize change so much, right? And it is a great thing. However, I don't know anyone who's made a change and was like, yes, this feels amazing. I love this change right away, right? No one feels that way right away. I know on this reset, when I'm working out, it ain't feel good in the beginning. Me exercising
Okay.
every day did not feel good in the beginning. Okay. I was a little hurt.
Put it in the comments if y'all feel the same.
Like I was a little hurt. I was a little broken up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing this, because it's pushing me beyond my limits, right? It's
Mhm,
pushed me beyond what I thought I could do and what I thought I could handle. But guess what? We're on day 9 now of the 14-day reset, and can I tell you that things have been easier? While today was not an easy day for me, it's been easier because of the consistency, because I've been doing it, right? So when we're in this reset, understand that it may not feel good at the very beginning of it, right? But that doesn't mean it's not good for you. It doesn't mean that it's not necessary for you, right? It just means that you're changing habits. Old habits die hard. That's what they say, right? They die hard. Okay. Sunday's the last day, man. We getting
We
there.
almost
Yeah,
there.
yeah. we we getting there
Thank you,
slowly.
Jesus.
It seemed like time done slowed down this week.
Okay. You're like,
It seemed like
man,
time slowed down.
no.
But it may not seem like it's working or it's going the way you think it should. But don't despise the
Hmm.
process. While it may be hard, right? It's for our benefit. Um, I am going to skip on to our next question. What do we gain from Saul's conversion to Paul, and why is it so important? JC, do you want to take this one, or do you want me to take it?
Yeah, I can start it.
Awesome.
Um, I'll let you finish it. So basically, I feel like it gained him the ability to go out there with the name change. Also, because he saw like everybody. If he's going out there, people are still trying to bring harm to him because of who he is. So they're
Mhm.
hearing that, oh, you're out here now ministering or whatever. Yeah, right, bro. So there's also plots on the other side towards him to get rid of him, not just from other. I mean, people that say they're Christians. We know we got people that are, going to be wild cards. So that same thing is going on. So also, that's God giving you that protection.
Mhm.
Again, He understands we're still human. We're not going to accept you right away. We're still going to be hesitant. We're still going to be,
Yep.
but He gave him that name change so that when He shows up, yeah, they may still know who He is, but they're not sure. They're not 100% sure that that's Saul. Oh, it's Paul. Okay, well maybe it is that guy. They still want to go find out, right? They still want to see
Mhm.
if some people are being stoned because they're nosy. But no, now it's Paul. I'm bringing Christ to you. I'm ministering to you. And then it is important because I feel like this just shows you how God is resetting you over time, like how he was blinded, he got blinded. So physically he couldn't see, but that
Mhm.
allowed God, he didn't eat for those 3 days. So he's fasting. He's praying. He's wondering like, okay, why did this happen? I understand that I'm persecuting, but what's going on? This gives him the time where he's not worried about looking in the physical for it. He only has the option to look to Christ during this time with his spiritual eyes and open them. So it's very important that name change too as well for that because God already told him on the road, now you're Paul. And he's explaining to him during these 3 days why he's Paul now.
Yep.
So it's just very important. And then from there, once he's gets healed, the scales fall off his eyes. He's able to see. Now he's starting to minister because during that time when he's resetting, understanding why he's Paul now, he's he's going out there. God's already downloaded that message to him. He's going out there and preaching it now. What God has exactly told him to do. So it gave him two multiple resets are happening. It's not just one reset.
Mhm.
He's getting reset in different areas of his life, and that's the thing we got to understand too. God doesn't just only do one big reset. It's you're getting tons of resets every day.
Yep.
Well, look at this story as an example of the different resets. We're not may not be talking about every single reset. We're talking about certain ones. But I encourage you to go over and read it and be like, what are the resets that are happening? And how can I ask for God to apply these resets to my life? And how can I ask Him so that I can be ready? And how can I understand the importance of these resets? In the story for us to learn. So, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I do want to highlight one of the things that you did say is that everyone won't understand your change, right? Everyone won't understand your reset or why you have to reset or why you're making these necessary changes to your life. Everyone won't understand, right? When we're talking about Paul, everyone didn't understand. In fact, people were afraid of Paul. They was like, that nigga kill people. He kill people.
When they showed up, wait a second.
Right. Hold on. This Paul? I
Am I
know him
about to
as
get
Paul.
arrested? Oh, man.
Like, hold on. This the nigga y'all talking about? Because I know him as somebody else completely, right? So sometimes, people are going to only see you as, what who you were when they met you. People will only see you as that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to understand that you've elevated, that you've changed, that you've grown, that you've evolved. They will
Yeah.
not understand that. They will not understand that you're no longer interested in some of the same things that you used to be interested in, right? That you're not making the same choices that you used to make because you're a different person. Sometimes people will always keep you at the level at which they met you at. And that's okay because those may not necessarily be your people, but everyone is not going to understand your change. Everyone's not going to understand your evolution in God, right? Everyone just won't understand that. And so let God do the work, right? Let God be the one to
Come on.
change their hearts and their minds. And if he don't do it, then it means it's not meant to be done. But
Yep.
allow God to do that. And don't worry about what people are saying behind your back. Because guess what? People gonna talk regardless. Whether you stay where they think you're supposed to stay at or whether you elevate. And don't let you go
Mm-hmm.
further down because then they'll really talk about you, right?
They
Right.
ready.
Don't let you get worse, right? Don't let all hell break loose, then they'll really talk about you. But
Right.
understand that people gonna talk regardless. And so that has nothing to do with how you need to change and how you need to elevate, how you need to grow. Keep doing what you need to do for you, right? Stay on
Mm-hmm.
track and do what you need to do for you. And forget the people who don't understand. Pray for them, right? Pray that God will reveal to them that maybe they need to change, maybe they need to elevate a little bit more, right? But don't worry about it. Don't let that sidetrack you because I know a lot of times, nobody likes to be talked about negatively anyway. Nobody likes
Mm-hmm.
to be talked about negatively, especially for people that we may deem as our friends or people that we may deem as high, high value or high stature, right? Nobody likes to be talked about. But at the same time, don't let that thing be your distraction. Don't let it be your distraction from pulling you off course to where you need to, what you need to do and where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to highlight that. Um, we're going to do our last question because we are approaching 9 o'clock. But I'm going to show our last question. JC, what would you say are the steps that we need to take to reset our lives? What are some of the steps? You don't have to have all the answers, but what are some of the things that we can do?
I would say, like following the story that we're going over right now, uh, pray for your spiritual eyes to be open, as in the story, because that's the first thing that God did. He got his attention. One, because God already has your attention, because you're here right now. So who's ever in here, God already has your attention. But
Yep.
ask Him to open your spiritual eyes. Sometimes we try to wait till we're forced. That's the first step you can take. Don't wait till you're forced. Ask Him, and ask Him for the strength to be able to take on whatever He's bringing to you as well. But I
Yep.
would say the first step is definitely ask for your spiritual eyes to be open so you can have that understanding, because it will bring a different understanding than you trying to understand it here physically, because you're not going to be able to. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of things when you ask God to reveal to you spiritually, He can reveal Himself to you and make it make a little more sense,
Right.
so that you're able to just, we're human. We want to process things to a point, but that you're able to
Mhm.
go out there and do what you need to do for Him without. And sometimes He's not. Sometimes He's gonna open your spiritual eyes, but it's not gonna be the way you want it to be. So you
Yep.
gotta also be prepared for that. But
Yep.
ask Him for that understanding. Ask for Him to guide you. But I would say that first step is opening your spiritual eyes, and then also being willing to do what it takes. As you saw, Saul could have eaten, even though he was turned to Paul. He could have eaten those 3 days. He didn't have to fast, but he took the initiative during that time. Like, no, I'm not going to eat. I need to figure out why this is happening. So having that in, uh, having intention, I guess,
Mhm.
taking that intention into what you're going to do spiritually, like actively say, okay, when I wake up, I'm not going to look at my phone first. I'm going to pray and thank God
Mhm.
for waking me up, but
Mhm.
have intention. So I would say that would be your next step. Like, ask for guidance, and then be intentional. What else? What else do you have?
That's good, JC. Honestly, I mean, I don't have much to add. I think that's perfect. I will just say, expect God to show up. If you're praying to Him and asking for things, expect Him to answer you, and keep an open mind because sometimes God will answer us in a completely unconventional way. People say if you pray for patience, He'll put you in a situation where you have to be patient, and that's God answering your prayers. So when you're asking God for these things, when you're asking God, hey, what are the areas that I need to reset? Be on the lookout because God answers quickly, right? A lot of times he's answering us pretty quickly. If we're praying to him, expect the answer to show up. But don't just expect it in a certain way. Don't expect it to come gift wrapped in a specific way. A lot of times it's unconventional. A lot of times it doesn't even look like God even answered us. But expect God to show up and expect him to answer your prayers because he will. He does it every single time. He answers our prayers because he loves us and he hears us. And he wants to give us the desires of our heart, right? Especially when it comes to him. So I would just say keep an open mind and expect him to show up. And then we're going to end here, but JC, just want to know any final thoughts, any questions, y'all. If y'all have any final thoughts or questions, comments,
Yeah.
concerns, please start putting it in the chat now while JC and I are talking.
Yes. Put it in there so we can see, so we can kind of talk about it. But yeah, no, final thoughts. I mean, like you said, um, but I feel like what we're talking about right now is very important. Encouraging everyone. My final thought is please go through and read this story because,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what we're talking about is great. This is what God gave us to share with you guys.
Yep.
But go in there, read it, try to, meditate on that. But then also ask God what else He has for you. That's, being intentional. Don't just walk away from this saying, okay, that was great, and then you forget about what we talked about tonight. You use this as a guide. The reset, asking God to, help you. Like, okay, I know we have resets that we're going to be doing throughout the year, that you're going to be resetting me because I need to be wherever you're taking me to. So we
Mhm.
can use this, what we learned tonight, as a guide so that throughout the rest of the year, as we're getting these resets for God to take us where we need to be, we can be there. And it's not going to be easy. Let's just be real. But,
Child.
but it'll be, we can take it a little bit more because we've prepared ourselves, and that's our job. We got to be prepared. So I just want to encourage you to read through it and prepare
Yeah.
yourself to be reset so that you can receive what God has for you.
Yeah. Absolutely, JC. And I encourage you guys to really just soak in the things that we're talking about. Because, like, this is great. We all come together, we talk, we share the word of God, we share revelation. It's great, it's wonderful. But if you're not taking it and using it, then, you're missing out on some great opportunities to grow, right? Take what's being said and even read it for yourself, like JC said, right? Because you may get different revelation than what we got, right? You may see something totally different, because the Bible, you can interpret so many different things based on the text, and God may reveal something to you that He hasn't revealed to us, right? That may directly apply to your life. So I encourage you to do that. I also encourage you guys to obviously subscribe to AOU's channel. There are so many great things going on. You can subscribe, hit the subscribe button. Every time we go live, you will see it. Thank you to JC, who has been a fabulous co-host. Thank you so much for
Thank you
joining.
for having me. I appreciate you.
Of course. JC does a amazing Bible study or amazing devotion Bible study on
Thank you.
Thursdays. So when she goes live, you can see it if you subscribe. And she really does a great job at breaking the word down so that we can understand it and just take it little by little, right? She's literally spoon feeding us, right? So that we can get all the necessary nutrients and all the things that we need from the word. So I am so happy that you guys could join us tonight. Again, subscribe to AOU's YouTube and obviously to my YouTube account. And it was so nice to see you guys. It was so great
Yes.
having you guys with us tonight. And again, thank you, JC, for being here. It was a great time.
Thank you
I
for
see y'all
having
in
me.
the
It's been an honor. Thank you guys. Y'all are awesome. Thank you for the support.
comments. All right, y'all. Look, we'll be back here on next Tuesday, 8 p.m. ET. Y'all already know. We'll be back here for Resilience Talks with Octavia the Overcomer. And who knows? Maybe I'll have another trick up my sleeve, or maybe I won't. Who knows? But come back. Awesome. Oh, I see you guys in the comments. We love this. We love this.
Thank you guys. Y'all are
Thank
amazing.
y'all. Thank you guys. All right, we're gonna log off, but y'all have an amazing night, and I love y'all. Come back next week.